The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! 1, 2, 3, 4! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell icon and hit all for alerts on new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular endeavor. A little bit of housekeeping. If adult language offends you, don't watch this because there's a fair chance that you might hear a bit of it. In fact, I think it's very likely you're going to hear a bit of it. So if it's not something that's your cup of Tetley, like this stream, subscribe to the channel, and exit stage left. We are here to discuss Premier League match day 14 of 38. The result, a 1-1 draw with the Eagles of South East 25 at London Stadium. I'm joined by my brother Ben, who a few people were asking where he'd been hiding, and as if by magic, he's appeared. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I've had a nice festive day. I've got the Christmas tree up over there, all lit up. So yeah, mate, all good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Right. Okay. So, guys, the ticker at the bottom, just to sort of bring it to your attention, it will change intermittently. I've just rolled it on. That is the officials that were on display at the London Stadium. So let's get into it, Ben. So I'm just going to add this to the party. This is a new little introduction. Well, I say new. It's I've had it for a couple of weeks now that I've brought it in, and yeah, let's just go through it. So obviously it finished 1-1, as you can see there. That was the outcome. First question is, what was your thoughts on both of the starting 11s as it goes? Which there's the teams that were put out on the pitch. What was your thoughts when you saw it?
Very, we've got a fairly stable 11, it would seem, Rob. I mean, obviously Zuma wasn't around. I wasn't sure what that was about. I hadn't really heard much in the way of his injury. Presumably he was injured, but the fact that he was
apparently
out,
it was some family issue. That's the story that I've heard anyway.
We'll see. I did have a bit of a theory, and I didn't know if this could be. I could be totally barking up the wrong tree here. Do you know what I thought when I see the rainbow captain's armband? I thought that might not go down with him because I think he's Muslim, isn't he?
He is.
So he might, and I'd respect him for it if I'm honest, mate. I reckon this is just a random little theory I've got that he said, no, fuck it, I don't want to wear that. And okay. West Ham said, in that case, too much aggro. Bear in mind, you've booted a cat. Too much aggro. Sit this one out. I think that could be. I could be totally wrong, but that was just a little theory that went through my head.
Ooh, controversial. And when now you've mentioned it, and I hadn't even given that theory any thought whatsoever. And I do sit there and go, do you know what? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was but anyway, getting back to the point, I think Yeah, I think the only thing that was a bit of a doubt was obviously whether Bowen would be fit. Um, and obviously he was, but it seems, if I'm honest, mate, there's we could probably go into it in a little bit more detail, but in terms of the subs, but I think starting lineup, it was probably there or thereabouts as we expected from us.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I think it was probably about what I was expecting. I got the goalkeeper and I got the back four spot on. I had a suspicion that Zuma might not be utilised for whatever reason it might be, and so it proved.
Yeah.
His replacement, well, we'll come on to him in due course. But as far as the selection was concerned, as at the back five, I would say, yep, that was about right. Midfield, again, you can't really drop Thomas Souček. That was a given. Edson Alvarez, yeah, fine. I think for me, the question mark was probably over James Ward-Prowse. His form has dipped a little bit, I think, in recent weeks. I think it's fair to say. It's just my opinion. That's my interpretation of it. He was the one that I thought might be vulnerable to being rested or whatever. And then obviously the rest of it was, because obviously we had Kufal, Kudus, Bowen, who were all sort of like sweating on fitness issues, and Alvarez as well himself. But I thought he was probably more to do with sort of fatigue, sort of like back and forth from Mexico and whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought the starting 11 was pretty decent. As far as they were their sort of starting 11, it was probably what I half expected to face, if I'm being brutally honest. So it
and
was
I
pretty.
I think from their point of view, they're not the Palace of old. I know they had a couple of injuries today, but I think for the last God knows how long, Zaha has been obviously a staple in their team, and the fact that he's not there, that is, they aren't the Crystal Palace of last season or the years before in terms of their attacking threat, because he was such a big part of that.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Right.
Yeah.
So minute 13. Balls played from the aforementioned James Ward-Prowse. It was a cracking ball, I gotta say.
Yeah.
It was perfectly weighted, dropped into the path of Vladimir Kufal, who was careering up our right flank, gets his head up, plays a ball into the penalty box. Moving on to it at pace was Mohamed Kudus. Now, was there a slight nick on it? Very possibly, but the initial shot was heading goalwards anyway. It's his goal. At first, I didn't realize there was a deflection on it. And I looked at it and thought, oh, Sam Johnston should have done better with that, mate. And then obviously when you realize there was a nick on it, it's like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of mitigation there. But put us 1-0 up. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, here we go. Let's see what develops from here. What were your thoughts when we was? I mean, do you think we were the team on top at that point, or do you think that goal came slightly against the run of play?
No, I think it'd been a fairly fairly even opening sort of 15 minutes. I'd say we were pushing as we should be as the home side, and like you say, it was a fairly well worked goal. Ward-Prowse, he done really well. He done really well for the goal, and he was, he did knock a few good passes around. And like you say, Kufal had acres of space, popped it back kind of first time. And from an attacking sense, Kufal's had a good season so far, very much so. He's got another assist today, and Kudus is, delivering. Two assists last week. Scored a goal today with his right foot. I think he hit this one with. So it was with his weaker foot. Like you say, it got a little deflection, but at the end of the day, it went into the net. And I was hoping that we could really use that as a good springboard to, crack on.
Yes. What were your thoughts on the remainder of the first half? I thought that I'll tell you one moment where I held my breath was that they had a free kick Anderson took the free kick, and I think as it was travelling, it struck one of the players in the wall. I think it might have been Paquetá or Alvarez. I don't know, but it struck someone that was in the wall, and the ball started spinning. It was moving towards goal. It was spinning, and you're thinking, shit, this is going to drop in here. And it just went wide of the post. That was the only real chance I remember Palace, or even half chance, remember them having in the first half from memory.
Yeah. And to be honest, Rob, I think stats wise, they'd lost 4 of their last 5. So I think it was they'd lost 4 of their last 5. We'd won 4 of our last 5. So they didn't really look too confident in, as an attacking sense. And I think they were probably happy to come here and get a draw to get to stop their winning spell, to their winless run, to halt that. And you know what? It was the first half performance was okay. Do you know what I mean? It was probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6.5. But it was just very, we got the goal, and I don't really remember us having much of another shot. It seemed to be that it was Agüerd and Mavropanos and Alvarez seemed to have the ball a lot, and it was just going back, forward, sideways within that sort of defensive third of ours, more than anything,
Yeah, I agree. There was too much in the ways of sideways and backwards passing for me. There was one you mentioned, sort of like the defensive trio, if you will, the 2 centre backs in the defensive mid. There was one ball, I think it was Agüerd in the first half, and he actually played a really good ball from left centre back and played it through, and Bowen was running onto it, and he just eluded him. It was sort of like it wasn't even a half chance. It was, well, yeah. I mean, it was one that I think that had, if Bowen had been on his, he had a little bit more pace about him. If the ball had been just a little bit less pacey, maybe he'd have been in. That was just a glimmer of a chance that sort of came and went very quickly in the first half. And
yeah, well, I must admit, Rob. Actually, I've just remembered it. Agüerd, I don't know if it's the scenario you're talking about. He did play a really nice ball over the top, which Bowen got onto, and Bowen tried to lift it over the goalie, and it just sort of went into the goalie's hand. It was a bit of a tame effort, but I think overall, I actually think Agüerd did have a really good game. I thought Agüerd's passing, and I thought from a defensive point of view, Agüerd looked solid today, and he was trying to get us going with the balls into midfield and over the top.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to get some little stats up there as well. As I say, it's all good stuff. But I mean, the first half, I think it was one of those. I think we were the better team. I think, as I say, my son actually said it, George, your nephew, and he said that he thought from the first half perspective we were in control, but we weren't dominating. Probably a 1-0 lead at that point probably wasn't out of line. However, on the preview, I did turn around and say, and it's become a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy of late, in that we'll go in, we'll probably be dead level, or we might have a 1-goal advantage, whatever, and then probably within about a 10-minute period of the second half resuming, we're probably going to concede. Lo and behold, 53rd minute, who was it on the ball? It was Mavropanos. Odsonne was just standing there. He's just minding his own business. He probably couldn't believe his luck when Mavropanos played the ball straight to him. And then he's through on goal, and he pulls the trigger. 53 minutes gone, 1-1, and momentum's now shifting into sort of Palace's favour. Certainly, they've got parity on the scoreline, and it was a horrendous error. Now, I know that David Moyes has come in for a lot of criticism from many quarters, myself included. However, that is basic sort of defending, isn't it? You know, he didn't look. I don't know what he was playing at.
No, mate, it was a bad error, you know. But yeah, you know, people, you know, you can criticise Moyes, and maybe rightly so for certain things, but you can't legislate really for those silly individual errors. But you know, when you're sort of, I think when you go back, right, what I think we've got a big problem with is going a goal up, and then we don't really seem to have the mentality to try and get the second, get the third. Do you know what I mean? And it's like we're happy with the 1-0 until someone else gets the equaliser, and then we think, oh, we better score again. Do you know what I mean? It's just a weird mentality we've got at the moment. But I don't want to castigate Mavropanos too much, strictly because he's still finding his feet in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? And overall, he's still quite a young man for a centre half, and so, you know, those mistakes get made. And to be honest, he didn't capitulate after that. He was still trying to do a good job. You know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment. After we went and conceded that equaliser, there was one key chance that after that I think we had, and I think this was where the game, you know, it's a sliding doors moment, isn't it? Big chance. Paquetá played a ball into the far post from the right hand side. Emerson's rushing onto it. He's onside, clearly onside. Timed his run to perfection. However, what wasn't to perfection was the finish. He got his foot to the ball and put it into Rosed. We get, I believe, we get that goal, and we probably go on to get a third goal. I think we take them apart. But I think that was the game right there, mate. It went.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you say, Rob, and that's on the 64th minute, and you didn't really have a real good chance after that. If I'm honest,
No.
I'll tell you where I watched it, Rob. I was at a carol concert, and I was watching it on my phone while I was up singing Christmas carols, and I had the song sheet there, and I had my phone just so no one could see that I was watching it.
Oh dear. Dear. Did you get away with it, or did you get clocked?
But you know what, Rob? Right? You know, I've been no. Somehow I think I got away. No one actually noticed that I was watching the game and singing at the same time. But you know, after that, I'd say the last half an hour, it wasn't for the want of trying. I think we were giving it a go. We just didn't have the quality to break down their defence. Actually, I do think Palace have got quite a decent defence. I think the two centre halves are pretty good. I think the left back's pretty good. And even though they're not on great form, you do have to. They're not going to gift you a goal. You're going to have to work hard to get a goal. And we just didn't have either the creativity or the final pass or the bit of pace to get us through. And it was, you know, as a result, I don't think overall it was an appalling performance or an awful performance. I just think it was just a very average performance.
Yeah, I think we were marginally the better of two poorly performing teams, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think that in a lot of respects, I don't think we can complain about the scores being 1-1. I just don't think we did enough to come away with sort of like the notion that we deserve to get the 3 points. I don't think that we created enough in the final third. I think we were very wasteful. As I say, there was too many balls that were sideways, backwards. It's like, for fuck's sake, play the ball forwards, will you? Someone, anyone, just play. I mean, probably our most progressive players were probably the centre backs.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think they were, like I say, I think Agerd had a good game. I think Mavropanos, if you take away the mistake, he's trying to get us going, and then he feed it into midfield, and then midfield will pass it out wide, and then the fullback will pass it back to the centre half, and it's like we need to be a bit more progressive than this to try and carve out openings. You know, and our star man who's meant to be doing that, Paqueta, I think he's been a pretty appalling the last 5-6 games, mate. You know,
Well,
there was bits, like I say, there was a tiny bit that I missed in the second half at the beginning, right? But that bit, like the bit at the end of the first half, he's trying to do it. It's 1-0, and he's trying to do one of these rainbow flicks over someone's head in the corner flag. It's extremely wasteful. Yeah, it's extremely wasteful, and I don't think he's I don't know if it's too cold for him. It looks like he's a fair weather player, mate, to me. I think he's all right if he's on the Copacabana in 30-degree heat, but once it's a bit cold, I'm not seeing him show up.
I mean, Happy put something earlier about, him doing all the sort of like the play acting and the histrionics and all that. So a lot of people were on board with that, same as you, that he's not looking like the player that we spent 50 million quid on in the last sort of like 4-6 games. I think that he's, whether it's a sort of like he doesn't like the cold weather, I don't know. Is it that there's other things going on in the background? This betting thing, I don't know how that's going. I've not heard anything about it. Whether he knows something that the rest of us don't, and that's maybe playing on his mind. I don't know what the reason is, but he's gone from being one of our most effective players to being one of the most sort of frustrating to watch.
Yeah. So I think overall we huffed and puffed a little bit, but we couldn't break them down. And I don't know if we'll come on to this, Rob, but the subs for me, I think the team didn't play particularly well. But again, I think Moyes' in-game management in terms of the subs was what it showed to me is that he was happy with a draw at home against Palace.
Mate, honestly, I've moaned about the fact that his default position is a sub on the 70th minute. I'd have taken that today. I'd have been like, yeah, okay, fine. 89th fucking minute, and you bring on Pablo Fornals when we're trying to sort of like break down a stubborn defence in a London derby where we're the home team. Fucking give me a break. Seriously? You've got fucking Cornet on the bench. You've got Mubama on the bench. Fucking Fornals. I love Pablo Fornals, but for Christ's sakes, that's your plan in the 89th minute? Fuck off.
Well, what surprised me, Rob, is last week, Cornet and Mubama have come on. Mubama's pretty much scored a goal. I know it was an own goal, but let's be honest, it was kind of his.
Yep.
If he doesn't make that move, the goal don't happen. And then Cornet's got an assist. So these two lads must be chomping at the bit. Right, give me a chance, Gaffer. We're at home against Palace. We're drawing, and they don't even come on for a minute. Like, it was just, I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know if Moyes just kind of thought, I don't know if maybe last year's game against Palace was playing on his mind. And the fact that we've won the last two in the last minute, I think he might have just thought, do you know what? If we look at the last 3 games, 7 points out of there, I'll take it, as opposed to getting done in the last minute on the break.
Right. Okay. Let's get down to it. Star player. Who's your star player for West Ham principally? And I'll show you who I've gone through as my star player. And it's this gentleman, Mohamed Kudus. I think he was far and away our best player. I mean, just look at the stats there. 76 touches. Okay, 6 of them were unsuccessful, but he's having a go. 4 shots, 1 on target, got the goal. 82.1% pass accuracy, 5 dribbles. He had 8 crosses, 2 of them were accurate. He was busy. He was trying to make things happen, but there was a lack of quality around him, a big lack of offensive intensity and thrust. It was just not good enough from the guys around him.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. Anything good that we done was through Kudus. I think, well deserved by far and away, probably the best player for us. But like I say, I do actually think Agurd had a good game, just from passing. The Palace didn't pose too much of an attacking threat, but I think he was. I thought Agurd looked like he was playing himself into a bit of form, but absolutely. Kudus played well. I just think I think today, and I'm not saying I don't think we should ever try it again, but today I don't think Bowen had a good game. And I think the experiment of him up front just wasn't working today, and you could see it wasn't working. And with half an hour to go, and that was the time I would have brought on Cornet or Mabama and get Bowen back out wide.
Do you think he was happy with the point?
Do I think Moyes was happy with the point?
Yeah.
Like I say, I just kind of get the impression that on the basis we've won the last two and last year's smash and grab loss against Palace, I think he just thought, you know what? We'll just wrap up and take a point, which is, he's a bit of a safety first manager, really. Mm-hmm. But at home against Palace, who were in bad form, we should have taken them to the sort. When you scored so early, we should have been more offensive in the first half to try and build up the lead. But obviously, that wasn't the case.
Was there anybody from Palace's point of view that stood out for you?
To be honest, mate, not really. It was one of them games that both teams kind of cancelled each other out. Like I say, I think defensively they all look. I only really remember us having a couple of shots on target. So I'd say their two centre halves probably handled Bowen quite well. But other than that, obviously Edouard got the goal and looked lively, but no, I don't think there was any particular standouts from them.
Fair enough. Was the final score a fair reflection on how the match panned out then, do you believe?
I would say yes, Rob. I think just to reiterate your point a little bit earlier, I think we were probably marginally the better team, and I think the stats probably indicate that in terms of possession and shots. But like I say, Sam Johnston didn't have the busiest afternoon he's ever had.
Nope.
So I would have to say yes. I'd say a draw is probably a fair result.
When you look at the Premier League table there, Ben, and obviously Brighton got beat by Chelsea, that's 2 points dropped though, isn't it? Because we could have gone up to 8th.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Look, Palace at home, when I think we've got a few big, your man Kent Hammers is right. Elise did look lively. He did look a threat every time he got the ball, and he had Kufal backpedaling. I'm actually a little bit concerned about Kufal's defending at the moment, because I think anyone that runs at Kufal. Anyone that runs at Kufal, he's backpedaling like you wouldn't believe. It's like he's not putting a foot in. You know what I mean? He's just running. He lets someone travel with the ball 30 yards. But yeah, he had a good game. It's definitely 2 points dropped, Rob. Considering I think we've got a few games coming out of teams that are above us, and the performances haven't been great, and we've been sneaking a few results, but we're going to have to raise our game big time to try and get some points off the teams above us. But the thing that disappoints me, Rob, is I look at Man United, and I think United are a shower of shit. And the fact that we're below them tells me we ain't that great.
Yeah, there is that. There is that. And obviously the next game that we have is Thursday. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, right? If you will indulge me, people, is I'm going to answer the question ahead of Ben, right? Ben will get the chance to sort of come in, but I'm going to have my say on this, if I may, first, Ben. How
Right,
do I
you go.
think it will result will impact on our next match? Well, not so much the result, but more the fact of the lack of the substitutions for me. The fact that we made one substitute in the 89th minute. And this is where I think we're going to come unstuck, if not in the next game, but through the course of this season. We have one of, if not the oldest Premier League squads, okay? And he is playing virtually the same 11 pretty much most weeks, right? Now, I think when you've got a squad that is the sort of like closer to, I think we're about average age of about 28 point whatever years of age, something like that. Now, for me, I think that David Moyes needs to be utilising the subs bench much more readily than he currently is. He can make 5 substitutes per match. Normally, he'll probably make 2, 3. Today he made 1. Usually it will be around about the 70th minute. Today it was the 89th. Now I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that the bulk of the players that started today will very likely start against Tottenham on Thursday. Now, we may or may not get a result against Tottenham. Who knows? But extend it out and let's go to sort of like match 36, match 37, match 38 of the Premier League season. They're going to be absolutely fucked. Absolutely fucked. He is not utilising the bench to its full capability. This will cost us. We will run out of steam towards the end of the season. I guarantee you.
Yeah, no, I think you're potentially right there, Rob. And I think the one area that I just feel like we're light on is in central midfield, mate. In central midfield, not only in the Premier League, Souček and Ward-Prowse are pretty much playing every game in Europe as well. And that is the area of the pitch where you are getting through the most work, right? Flynn Downs should not be at Southampton. He should be playing for us in the cup games in Europe and giving people a rest because it's coming thick and fast. Like you say, all of a sudden, you know, the likes of Paqueta, the likes of Ward-Prowse, they haven't really been doing the business. But what alternative have you got? There's no one in central midfield that you can mix it up, really.
Well, Budgie reckons we need you on the left wing.
Sorry?
Budgie says we need you on the left wing.
Yeah, mate, get me out there. That'd be a dream. But look, mate, no, I think I agree with you. But then there's some games like Guardiola doesn't even make a substitution. Do you get what I mean? And I think Moyes looks at that, and Moyes might think, well, fucking hell, if Pep's doing it, I'll do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Pep's got a much deeper squad and much better quality than we've got. I mean, You're comparing apples to oranges there. If that is what he's doing, he is absolutely comparing apples to oranges, and it's a complete folly, in my opinion.
No, I just listen. Unfortunately, I think we're going to games in a bit of hope more than expectation at the minute, and we're due a good performance. Like I genuinely struggling for a good 90-minute performance. I think there's just something not quite right with the mentality of this team at the moment, that we get a goal and then just take our foot off the pedal. And it's like we get a goal and then we go to the other team. Okay, then you have a go now. And then when they get a goal, it's like, oh yeah, we'll start trying again now. I think it's just a weird lack of intensity to just keep them. You know, once you've got someone on the floor, keep going and put the game to bed.
It's like a boxer, isn't it? Sort of, giving someone a right hander, putting them down for an 8 count, and then that boxer not going in for the kill. Do you know? And I don't mean to sound melodramatic and, you know, whatever, but it's like, really, you've got to go finish him. You know, you've just put him down for an 8 count. Is sort of like his knees are wobbly. Get steam into him. And instead, it's like we put them down for an 8 count. They get up, and it's like we'll then sort of go into defensive mode, and it's like, what the fuck's that all about?
Yeah, I think the one thing I quite like today, I like Souček being captain. I think he's deserved that, and so I was fair play to Moyes for giving him the armband. But like I say, and I think Souček had I don't think there was any like 4 out of 10s from our point of view, but there wasn't any 8 out of 10s, and there weren't many 7 out of 10s. It was literally a 6 out of 10 performance, pretty much across the board. But I just think, you know, maybe I'm being a bit harsh on like the likes of on Paqueta as an individual, but this guy is the most talented player in our squad, right? But if you listed out who has performed best this season, Paqueta is about 7th or 8th. And that is, you would say Bowen number 1, maybe Kudus, then Souček, Areola would be up there, Ward-Prowse would be up there with the amount of assists he's got. You know, you're getting through half the team before you'd say, oh, and Paqueta was there. This is
Emerson.
Emerson would be above him. Areola would be above him. I think this is our most talented player and our most expensive player ever. He should be doing more. So I think he's got to, he's got to buck his ideas up. Whether Moyes for the Spurs game brings him back into the middle of the park, probably not actually, because I think he'll probably want to keep it solid. But yeah, I wouldn't disagree with what Happy Hammeret's saying there. I think it does look like we're lacking a bit of leadership, because like you say, this little mentality as well as conceding just after half time. We've got to grind that out of this team. So look, we respect the point. We haven't moved down any in the league. It probably is 2 points lost, but let's like say Brighton lost, Man United lost. So let's try and see what we can do against Spurs on Thursday.
That's fair enough. Right, Ben, thanks for joining us. Thanks to you guys in the live chat for joining us as well. We're going to go again. We're probably going to go, because the match for Tottenham's on the Thursday, isn't it? So we're probably going to be doing the match preview for that on the Wednesday, I think. So please join us for that, guys. And as I always ask you guys to do, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell icon and click all. You'll be notified of any new content that is added to the channel as and when. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. All I'm going to say to end it with is, come on, you Irons. Keep the faith. And please don't forget to support the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thanks.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Massive!